Sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Early Watch. I am your host, Ed Horse, and I have our co-host with us, Tony. How you doing this morning, Tony?
Good morning, little buddy.
I was hoping you'd get that. Yeah, awesome. Man. Woohoo, Monday. It's
Yeah, I
here.
loved Gilligan's Island when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah, so did I. I actually really enjoyed that show. All right, but here's the real question, Tony. Marianne or Ginger?
Marianne, no casting couch issues.
A good pick. Good pick. Marianne, she wasn't afraid to get dirty. So if you remember, she was always the one helping the professor build all of his stuff, right? So
Yep.
her and the skipper. So
She also held it together really well throughout most of her life.
that is true. Oh boy. So what do we got going on today? Should we just jump right into it? Some gun 2A gun stories?
Sure, why not?
Gun news? Actually, you know what? Let's give everyone a couple minutes. Some people are probably just tuning in. So, yeah, I probably should maybe start giving everyone a couple minutes, you think? Before we hit the important stuff. So, let's see. What can I start with that's more lighthearted? Let's see here. Oh, all right. Here's one. Let's see here. Man shooting at Amazon Alexa sparks gun battle with police. He was shooting at everybody. So you know that little device inside your house, the little, or that some people have that they can say like, "Hey Amazon, order me some new like toilet paper," and then the Amazon thing automatically orders it for them.
I was going to say, that big brother cocksucker ain't in my house.
So this goes into a little bit more detail, and there is also a physical assault or domestic violence or something, um, something else going on too. I'm not going to go too in depth into the whole story, but it's pretty funny. Apparently, some kind of domestic dispute over the Amazon Alexa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something. I don't know if he thought his wife was with another man or like I think they're still sorting out the stuff, but apparently something was going on and he started shooting at the Amazon Alexa and then at police and some police officers were wounded, but I'm glad that they're going to be okay. This happened in Pasco County, Pasco Sheriff's Office. But one officer was shot in the leg and they were able to put a tourniquet on and everything, so he's going to be okay. The guy is going to be charged with domestic battery and at least 5 counts of attempted homicide. So looks like this guy's going to be going to jail for a while. But yeah, the Amazon Alexa is what apparently started the whole gun battle, so to speak. So I thought that was pretty funny. Just yeah, be careful. There's technology out there, and you know that Amazon Alexa doesn't always have a girl voice either. You can set it to different voices, I think. So I don't know. Like I said, they don't go into exactly what started it in the story I'm reading. Just that it was a dispute over the Amazon Alexa or involving the Amazon Alexa somehow. So what a thing to get mad about. What's that, Tony?
I said some details might be really interesting.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of is like, why would you fight over an Amazon Alexa? So the only thing I could think of is he's hearing this thing talk, and it might if it was like in a man's voice, and then he was thinking that like maybe he was on the phone with his wife and he heard like a man's voice in the background and it was the Alexa, or like something like I don't know something. That's what I'm guessing is he mistook the Alexa for either like something going on with, as far as domestic wise with his wife or something.
Either
That's the only
that,
thing.
or he tried 320 times to ask that son of a bitch a question and it says it don't understand.
Yeah. And if you have a good accent, I've seen a lot of people with accents have a lot of issues asking Amazon Alexa things.
Yeah, I see it with the grandchildren. Granddaughter has a bit of a speech impediment, and it doesn't understand her sometimes. Yes, they have one. I don't.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find another source that says anything about exactly what it was about the um what made him mad at the Amazon Alexa device, because that's how it all started. Is he just started shooting at that? So I don't know why. I don't know why you'd get so mad at your Alexa to start shooting at it, but that's apparently what started the whole thing. And then her and the husband apparently started arguing. Then he beat her up. And then the police came and he shot at police. And just man, I just don't know how, how Amazon Alexa can get you that mad.
Folks, they put an off switch on all that shit.
Yes. I'm glad I don't have one. Actually, I got one for my birthday one a couple years back, and I told them not send this thing back. Like, I don't want this thing in my house. So, like,
Uh,
yeah, no. I have Amazon. I'm not gonna have that little device in my house.
no, me neither.
Okay, let's see here. Gun owners stockpile ammo before new California ammo background check law begins.
No shit.
Oh boy, and are they stockpiling ammo? I heard that there's just like a huge run on ammo. I believe that starts this July, I think. No, I can't remember the exact date. Actually, I do have it saved somewhere. Let me see. I'll get the exact date to inform any California listeners out there. Let's see. It was. Here we go. It starts July 1st. Yeah. So that's going to be a thing here. You really only have like what, 3 more weeks to buy your ammo, stockpile it, and then every time you go, you have to pay. You have to go through a background check, I guess, after that. So man, like, how is that going to be if you just want to buy like one box of ammo? Pretty much, it's going to force everyone to buy in bulk. And how many people own guns that don't want it, like don't even shoot them, that just have them just for a self-defense purpose, and that don't want 1,000 rounds sitting there or whatnot. I mean, that really just, like they're like, oh, I got my 50-round box in my revolver, and that's all I want or need. But that's going to put a lot of people out from going shooting, stuff like that. And Boy Scouts or an organization's Appleseed, stuff like that's going to suffer. The kids are going to suffer shooting guns. I think this is really going to be a huge, huge effect. I think the fee's $1 for everything, right? So you buy a $5 box of ammo now. That's a 20% tax on a $5 box of ammo. So that's a huge tax when you think of it that way. It's if you're just going to buy one 20-round box of 7.62 by 39 or 5.56, then that becomes a 20% tax.
Well, all of this shit's intended to get people to not get into guns at all.
Yep, demonize them and restrict them piece by piece.
Make it so goddamn much of a pain in the ass. People just don't want to stick with it.
Well, officials state that in California's database, they have 4.5 million people who possess guns. Ain't just in California. That's just the people they actually know about in their database. So, that's a lot. I can't believe California has 4.5 million known gun owners that these laws are passing and going through, and just I have a hard time understanding that. Hopefully, we can help California out and help organize and come together and stop these things before they get this far. And because it's going to be a lot harder to get this back than it is to let it go.
Yeah, they probably got 10 million anti-gunners.
Oh, David Bowling's out there. Oh, David, I sending you a link over on the the Gmails if you would like to come join us. There you go. Let's see, what other news do we got today? Oh, here's a big one. You know who Bill Maher is, right?
Yeah.
So the Real Time is a show, I think. Bill Maher, and he's done some movies and a couple, I guess, documentary type things that I actually kind of enjoyed. I think the guy's kind of funny and all that. I definitely don't agree with all of his politics or even most of them. But he is urging Democrats to not make gun control an issue this 2020 election. So he's telling basically the Democrats out there, shut your mouth about guns. Go ahead and take them after you're elected, but don't make guns a running point in 2020 so you're more likely to get elected. So that's basically what he's telling all the Democrats on his show. I think it was Friday night, this last Friday. He had a show, and he has kind of like a panel on, like some of the shows here on gun channels. And but yeah, he basically told all the Democrats like to shut your mouth about gun control. Don't run on the premise of gun control. Get elected and then take all the guns. So, what do you think about that?
Sound like good advice. You want the truth. I mean,
Sounds like good advice if you're a Democrat. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't think that he's completely anti-gun. I've seen stuff with him that wasn't specifically
I think he's like anti-AR-15 and anti-high capacity mags and anti-bump stocks, and he's like, oh, if you want to, I think he's probably okay with you owning a shotgun or a revolver or some he's one of those middle ground guys, I think. But I definitely have heard him make a lot of anti-gun statements about, oh, you don't need 30-round capacity in AR-15 assault rifles, this and that. He's had entire shows on that premise. So, I mean, he definitely is against a lot of the Second Amendment freedoms, just not all of them. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think that makes him a pro-gun guy, but
I didn't say pro-gun. I said,
I know.
He was completely anti-gun.
And I agree. I think he's one of those guys that we need to talk some common sense into. But he's also a comedian, so I think people got to remember that. Like, this is a guy who's been in movies like Attack of the Piranha Women, stuff like that. So the guy is a comedian, and he is a good host and stuff. But when it comes down to it, he's a comedian, and he. That doesn't necessarily make him know any more than anyone else. It doesn't make him right. It doesn't make him smart. So he can obviously have flawed views, just like anyone else can.
Well, he obviously does have flawed views, but I don't know how the hell you combat this shit when they're, coming across the damn television.
Well, I think that's an important thing for us to remind our voters, especially this upcoming election, that just because Biden says, "Oh, I want everyone to have a shotgun and to shoot 2 shots out of their house," if Biden makes remarks like, "Oh, I'm going to be friendly to your Second Amendment," I don't, or whoever, Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren or any of the main Democrats running for re-elections or even on local and state levels, if this message gets out to all those Dems and they start hushing up about the Second Amendment, that doesn't mean that we ease or back off of it. Because when we let our guard down, that's when we seem to get the most rights stripped and taken. Just as soon as we think that, oh, we can rest easy now, we got Trump in the White House, this is awesome, and we let our guard down, then what happens? Bump stocks and red flag laws and now suppressor talk. So I hate to say it, but we need to be on a campaign constantly. And
We
just
should.
yeah.
I said that right after Trump got elected. Now's the time to go after getting stuff back.
And I don't know if everyone just felt like they fought so hard before the election that they needed a break or vacation or what the deal was, but I definitely saw, even I did it, let down my guard thinking, oh, yes, we got some time to breathe now, and we got, we don't have to worry about anything being taken right now. And boy, was I wrong. So, but Bill Maher, man, I might have to go find his Instagram and leave a comment over there about that, warning the Dems.
Well, it seems that here in Illinois, the NRA has joined the other group involved in the suit against the FOID system, which tells me that the NRA is pretty damn sure they can win. Because they don't touch on shit that they have a real likelihood of losing.
New York is talking about instituting 120 days between ammo purchase. I think he meant ammo purchase there. And you can only get 20-round boxes. So you get to buy a 20-round box and you have to wait 120 days before another 20-round box. Wow. That's David posted that over on the Gun Channel site. That is amazing. I can't believe that's even being talked about. I mean, there's people who use more than 20 rounds in a self-defense situation, let alone only getting them 120 days in practice or competition or target shooting. Wow. And then they're going to tax you. They're going to be like, oh, if you're shoot competition or target shooting, you can get this other special permit that's $150 a year. That's exactly what that's about, is getting more money out of you while stripping your rights. It's not good enough to strip your rights. Let's just squeeze every dime out of you while we do it. Oh, are you a baseball fan, Tony, at all?
Not particularly.
I said the name David Ortiz, so do you know who I'm talking about?
Vaguely.
He's a Red Sox player, won the World Series. I think he had back-to-back home runs in the World Series. Big guy, awesome baseball player. He was down in the Dominican Republic, I believe, last night. So that would have been Saturday. I think this would have been Saturday night because they're in a different time zone or something there. But I think it was Saturday night. Oh, no, it was Sunday. So this was just yesterday. So he was shot down in the Dominican Republic at a nightclub down there. He was shot in the lower back. And I think that they were either leaving the nightclub or something, because all it really says is that a motorcyclist pulled up to Ortiz and I guess some of his friends or something. A motorcyclist pulled up and then got shot, and the bullet went through his stomach. And Ortiz was rushed to a hospital down in Santo Domingo, and is being taken care of down there, and he's recovering from surgery. No updates yet from that, but it does appear he's going to be okay. He's in the intensive care unit down there. But the Dominican Republic, yeah. Red Sox released a press release about it, and yeah, that's in Dominican Republic. Wouldn't you know it? They got a lot of anti-gun laws down there.
Yep.
And it didn't stop criminals from getting guns, obviously. But it sounded almost like an assassination plot. I'm guessing it's some kind of gang violence thing. A gang member trying to make a name for himself. Oh, hey, I killed this guy. This famous guy. I think it's something like that. Either that or the guy was just a New York Yankees fan. But let's see here. The operation lasted 6 hours. A team of doctors had to remove part of Ortiz's intestines, colon, as well as his gallbladder. Ortiz suffered liver damage. So that's that's a lot of stuff right there.
So
It doesn't say how many times he was shot either. It just says he was shot in the stomach. So it might have been more than one shot with all that damaged. I'm not sure.
you're Ortiz in the stretcher and they load you in the ambulance. What's on your mind? Fucking ship me to an American hospital.
Right? But they say he's out of danger and he's going to recover. But that's just sad to hear. He is kind of I guess you could say, a hero to a lot of people, and or a role model, or a public celebrity at the least.
Big Papa or something like that.
I don't know if that's the same guy. I think that's actually been used a couple of times. It might be, though. I want to say the guy that they were calling. I want to say that guy was from Puerto Rico. I'm not sure.
If it wasn't Ortiz, then two of them got shot over the weekend.
Oh, okay. Then it probably was the same guy. I don't know. I'm not a Red Sox fan. I don't keep up on that. I just pay attention to my Cubbies a little bit here and there.
My limited baseball is that I'm a Cardinals fan, or anybody who beats the Cubs. That's just from when I was a kid. I popped on the Cardinals and Cubs game the other night. In the first inning, the Cardinals were up 4-0. I thought, great. Shut off, went to bed. They lost 9-4.
Okay, dude. Let's see. Did we talk last week about the man who plotted the attack in Times Square, Tony?
No.
So, New York City authorities arrested a man who was plotting to detonate explosives in Times Square and go on a shooting spree. He was a Bangladesh citizen. He was living in Queens, New York. Undercover agent sold him 2 pistols with the serial numbers knowingly scratched off of them. So this guy knew he was buying basically a gun with the serial number scratched off with. If you did not know, that is illegal. And so he was knowingly doing that. And then he had the gall to ask the undercover agents during the process of that buy if they could get him explosives, grenades. He alluded to wanting to set off bombs in Times Square and take as many people out as he could. So this was definitely like a terrorist attack being planned. And luckily the authorities stopped it before it could get that far. He was doing reconnaissance at Times Square, going there, taking videos and pictures, and planning his detailed plans on his thing. And he was going to wear a suicide vest also for at the end. Like, he had this thing all planned out. His name was Ashiqul Alam. But luckily they got this guy. He's behind bars. This guy's never going to be out on the streets again. Finally we stopped that before it happened. So that's a good thing. That this is something that could have looked real bad on the, to the 2A, that they would have pointed out mass shootings and mass bombs, mass bombing.
Kind of what we point out too. It's not just guns.
So this guy's been basically under watch for over a year. They've been watching this guy, and I guess working with this guy or selling this guy stuff for over a year. Undercover agents have been meeting with this guy and stuff like that. So this was like a year long, almost a year long process from August of 2018. That's almost a year. So like the last 10 months, they've been knowing about this guy. So I'm just glad that they didn't let it go too long, and this guy all of a sudden changed his plans. They just went and did it. So it's kind of weird that it took 10 months to get this guy, but at least they got him.
And this transpired in New York.
Yeah, in New York. With the FBI, New York Police, and the Joint Terrorism Task Force. So it involved 3 different agencies. That's probably why it took 10 months. They're sitting there patting each other on the back for 9 of those 10 months.
Imagine if he'd have hooked up with the right guy instead of the wrong one.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Let's see here. Oh, I was known as Big Papi, yeah, okay. The David Ortiz is known as Big Papi. Let's see what else. What's that, Tony?
That's the same one then. A little bit of Hillary Clinton conspiracy theory. We've had 2 former state senators found dead
within 2 days of each other.
2 days of each other. And her brother's dead.
How did her brother die?
I don't know. It didn't say.
And now these are senators, so this isn't like a mayor. This isn't like a governor. This is a senator, a United States senator, right? So that's just
Yes.
just
These are state senators. They were both state senators. One was Arkansas and one was Oklahoma.
yeah, but those are still considered United States senators, right? Because they represent their states in the United States Senate, right?
No, they represent their districts in the state Senate.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So then why were they looking? I thought this was more federal. I thought that's why they were looking into Hillary, because the one lady who was killed was apparently talking about $26 million missing from the Clinton Foundation or something like that, or investigating that. So I thought that was more on a federal level.
Clintons were in charge of governor in Arkansas.
Oh, and is that where she was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. And the other senator was what, Oklahoma?
Yeah, I ain't seen anything except that gunshots were reported.
And he was also gunned down, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming so. They said gunshots were reported. And it doesn't say anything about her brother, how he died. It's just that he died.
Has there been any Justice Department releases on this or anything? Has the FBI said that they're going to investigate this or anything, or is it just a local police thing?
I haven't seen anything, but I also haven't looked either.
Let's see if we got anything over there. Nothing yet. Okay. Let's see. The Supreme Court should grant certiorari for the Remington appeal in the PLCAA case. Have you heard about this? The Supreme Court should agree to hear the appeal of Remington against the Connecticut Supreme Court in their PLCAA decision.
Absolutely.
The Connecticut Supreme Court, in a narrow 4-3 decision, ruled the civil case against Remington could go forward in spite of protections by the Protection of Legal Commerce in Arms Act, PLCAA. On May 3rd, 2019, the Connecticut Supreme Court granted a stay to the defendants while they appealed the case to the Supreme Court. Congress explicitly forbids such laws with the Protection of Legal Commerce in Arms Act. The 4 judges in the Connecticut Supreme Court ruled the case could fall under the vague and broad Connecticut Unfair Trade Practices Act, CUTPA for short, The allegation is Remington violated the CUTPA by marketing their rifles as being effective in combat, and the marketing was aimed at young people. The claim is the marketing promotes illegal activity. CUTPA forbids marketing that promotes illegal activity. Such an advertisement only promotes illegal action if you believe militia use of such a firearm is illegal. If you believe training for military use should be illegal. If you believe being armed against tyranny should be illegal. Unfortunately, a jury in Connecticut might be found which believes these things. The Connecticut Supreme Court ruled Remington violated the CUTPA, therefore the lawsuit could proceed on the theory if fit under one of the exceptions of the PLCAA. The exception is if a firearm seller violated the law when the firearm was sold, they may be sued. This is an example of tyranny, of multitudinous laws, because there are so many laws and because so many of them are broad and vague. It is near certainty that everyone has violated a law at some time. Remington was never charged under the CUTPA and would likely prevail in court. Remington would probably win the lawsuit filed against it, but it cannot be guaranteed. Even if Remington won, it would have expended a fortune in legal fees, if providing discovery material, and suffered considerable loss in reputation by being constantly attacked in the media. It is exactly this sort of excess the PLCAA was designed to prevent. So what do you think about that, Tony?
Well, why the hell would Remington market something to people who can't buy it?
I don't think they were necessarily. I think that they're real. I don't think they. I think when they to young people, I don't think they were advertising to young people. I think that they're trying to promote at like video games, so and stuff like that. So I know that some gun companies in video games, in order if a video game wants to use a Remington Model 700 in that game and actually use the name Remington 700, they have to pay like a licensing fee to Remington usually, right? Or get permission at the bare minimum. So if Remington was selling that right to use the name or likeness of a gun, which I know they have, and they were paid money, or even if they just said, "Oh, go ahead and use it for advertising purposes because it'll help us out." So now you got video games that are geared towards a younger market with a real gun's name in it. I think that's how they're trying to tie the two together. Is from my understanding, is it was things like that as far as their, it wasn't that they had in Guns and Ammo magazine they were trying to put an ad in there to appeal to a 13-year-old. I don't think it was anything like that. It wasn't commercials on TV or radio. I really think this goes straight back to the video game thing.
Be smart, man. No prom date. Pick up our new Bushmaster AR-15.
Yeah, Bushmaster will still be there the next morning. Yeah.
That's right.
I don't know. I hope they have a graph here. I don't know. It doesn't say what this graph is from, but apparently 72% of someone, or maybe it's everyone that at least they polled, I'm guessing, supports the PLCAA. 23% oppose. It doesn't say where they got this number from, but they do have a graph over there saying that 72% support the PLCAA, which that should be a thing. Like we should be supporting that because that's supposed to protect gun manufacturers from these frivolous lawsuits. The exact thing this law was made to do isn't working in Connecticut right now. So that's just really a failure on Connecticut's part.
Well, as far as polling data goes, it is something that I would never put faith in.
Oh no.
The whole Trump thing, beating Hillary's perfect example of how wrong that shit can be.
Let's see here. Oh, let me go to my next source now. I think that's all the news from that source.
Let me toss out a thought of the day.
Shoot.
The only person who can be everywhere you can be to protect you is you.
Yes. Absolutely true. So, here's something that was released, I believe, yesterday. So, on Sunday. So, G-Web's had a Minuteman University chat the other day with a bunch of guys that have a lot of insights to the NRA. A lot of famous people were on there. One of those guys was Rob Pincus. You know who he is. So it came out yesterday that the NRA has subpoenaed Rob Pincus, a member and activist who has been critical of current leadership, for information relating to the NRA board documents that leaked last month. A source close to the case told me the Pincus subpoena appears to be the fourth one to be made public in the NRA's legal fight with Ackerman McQueen, their largest contractor. Woodruff Betts reported a few days ago Oliver North and two other board members had also been subpoenaed in the case. So that means Rob Pincus is going to be going to court, it sounds like. And I think that court was taking place in New York, I want to say.
Now, this is the NRA looking for the leaker, for lack of a better description.
I don't know that. I honestly don't know that. I don't know if they just want to, if they're looking for the leaker or if it's, I don't know. Let's see if I can, he did say that more is to come out, that stand by for more info. That's what Pincus said. To stand by for more info. Okay, so here's an update from him, actually. So here's an update that was just posted 20 minutes ago from him. So this is breaking news. Look how fast this news moves. So update. The number of people getting subpoenaed is now at least 4. Rob Pincus acknowledged on Facebook that he has been served with one by the NRA's lawyers with reference to the ACMAC lawsuit. Stephen Gutowski of the Free Beacon tweeted about it a few hours ago. A copy of the subpoena with Rob's address information redacted can be found on scribe.com here. He is being asked to produce letters, memos, and other communications concerning previously non-public information relative to Wayne LaPierre, Oliver North, Marion Hammer, and Tyler Schroep. Mr. Schroep is in charge of the NRA's fundraising operations. Update number 2. Checking the case number on the subpoena served on Rob Pincus, it comes from the second NRA lawsuit against Ackerman McQueen. This is the lawsuit which accuses ACMAC of instigating a coup against Wayne LaPierre. I presume the other 3 have been subpoenaed or are being subpoenaed as a result of this suit as well. The big picture question is, all of this is what role is being played by the NRA outside counsel William Brewer III due to its ethics issues in Texas, which are now before the Texas Supreme Court. And then it cuts off there. But so this is over on the Guns and Money blog. So, but Rob Pincus posted this over on his Instagram just 20 minutes ago. So that's update 1 and 2. What's going on over there? So it looks like it didn't sound like they were looking for the leaker. It sounded like more like they were looking for the information to nail that ACMAC to the wall. What does it sound like to you, Tony?
I don't know. I won't speculate when it comes to the NRA and the potential of them being really fucking dirty.
Who shot 2 burglars in his home, charged with felony over inherited gun. Did you hear about this one?
Nope.
So an elderly man, 64 years of age in New York City.
Yes,
We talked about this last week, but this we didn't have this information because he wasn't charged yet with anything. He had just defended himself. And remember, we were all saying like, well, we hope that he goes free, and we hope he doesn't have any issues because that's New York, right? Well, it turns out he has issues. The gun he used to defend himself was his father's gun. It was an unregistered gun he inherited from his father. And two burglars broke into his house, and this wasn't the first time they broke into his house. And he was home this time, and as they proceeded to break into his house, he confronted them at the top of the stairs, told them to leave, and they continued on charging him. He shot several shots at them, hit both suspects, did not kill either suspect. He's not being charged with murder or attempted murder. He's being charged for illegal possession of a firearm. So keep that in mind, even though this guy, has never committed, would never like hurt a law-abiding citizen with that gun, never committed any crimes, and defending himself, his property, and his family against two dirtbags. This guy is now, getting charged with a felony.
right. That's the damn point. Make these laws so everybody could be a criminal in just a snap of a finger.
That makes a lot more people say, I'm not calling 911. I'm not, I
Have you
won't take
ever
care of
watched?
this myself.
Have you ever watched the movie 1984?
Oh, yeah. Yep, of course. It's already here.
I watched it the last night and this morning. I just finished watching it before we started here. That is so fucking scary because I can see it whenever I look around here today, at this country, this world, whatever. I think we're on the path to that shit. I really do. I wish everybody would watch that damn movie.
If I say the supremacy clause, Tony, do you know what I'm talking about?
Not by name.
So the supremacy clause is all right. So paragraph 2 of the U.S. Constitution is commonly referred to as the supremacy clause. It establishes that the federal Constitution and federal law generally take precedence over state laws and even state constitutions. It prohibits states from interfering with federal government's exercise of its constitutional powers and from assuming any functions that are exclusively entrusted to the federal government. It does not, however, allow the federal government to review or veto state laws before they take effect. So basically, state laws are they're allowed to make a law, and then the federal government can come in and say, "Oh no, we don't like that law. Like it goes against the Constitution. You got to take it off." But it's not until it gets to that point that the law is already enacted that they can do that. But there's a movement right now, the supremacy clause, that people want that start to be enforced, and they're trying to use that. And a lawsuit I think was filed recently, citing the supremacy clause. They're trying to use the supremacy clause to, I believe, fight in California on some Second Amendment issues. I don't think that's going to go over very well. But, I mean, it is something to point out. A lot of people don't know about that.
I really honestly believe that it's going to take the Supreme Court to slap down the ninth in order to stave what's going on in California.
I will agree 100%.
Because the 3-court panel usually is fairly reasonable. Then when it goes up to the full ninth, they're completely anti-gun. I don't know how the hell that works. There's a case that was very similar in the ninth and I think the fourth that the courts ruled opposing views on. And I thought the Supreme Court would have to step in on that one. But so far, I've not seen anything. And I really don't remember the case, but it was a 2A case.
Well, I would like to see this enforced more. I would like to see it. I mean, if this was actually enforced, there would be a lot of states right now with less, I think, anti-gun laws that obviously are just nothing more than infringements that have even been shown that that law hasn't curbed violence or crime or anything, right?
I'm praying that this thing with the FOID system goes, because that'll have ramifications in California and any other state that requires a card to purchase 2A stuff.
That sets a precedent, right?
Yes.
And those precedents are really powerful. They're a lot more powerful, I think, than what people realize.
Yeah, the precedent is what got us bit in the ass on Heller.
It did.
Yes, it did. Absolutely. Because that's how Scalia included that shit in the opinion, was that there was precedents stating that there was room in the Second Amendment for laws and some regulations, however the hell he put it, infringements, when the document don't say that.
So let's see. So I got one more here. So you remember cigarettes, and cigarettes were just a thing. Then they had to start putting warnings on cigarettes. And they banned cigarette commercials and advertising and on, like, you know, billboards and stuff for cigarettes.
Yep.
And every cigarette pack had like "Don't smoke if you're pregnant" and "Don't smoke this" and "Smoking causes cancer" warning labels on them.
Currently, it's cigarette smoke contains carbon monoxide.
So apparently they want to do the same thing with ammo. So let's see here. So let's read this. So title of this article is "Ammo is not like cigarettes." This is over at the Gun Free Zone, where this is their words. The Gun Free Zone, where a redneck Jew and a Hispanic Catholic write about gun rights, self-defense, and whatever else we can think about. So this was just posted over on their thing over there on Saturday. The ad execs who want to put graphic warnings on ammunition, and these are graphic warnings, and they actually show like a picture. In homes where domestic violence occurs, a gun increases the risk of women being killed by 5 times. And they have a graphic picture of a woman who looks like she was probably shot and murdered. So it's pretty disgusting. You know what I mean? The cigarette packs never had warnings on them of a picture of like someone's lungs, or you know what I mean, or a dead body. So the fact that the key to this is graphic, right? They want to put graphic warnings, not just a warning, a graphic warning with the picture of basically a dead body on ammo.
You idiots, have you ever been out and about in the 2A community and seen the "This is your brain" on Hollow Points t-shirts? That shit don't bother us none.
Well, I still just think it's the fact that they want to use this tactic to go after us. It's even worse than on the cigarette. So Oriole Davis Lyons and Gustavo Dorito hope their marketing campaign will prompt states to adopt the kind of graphic labels that adorn cigarette packs in more than 100 countries. Imagine you head to your local gun retailer to buy bullets for your hunting rifle. And as you pick up the ammunition box, you are confronted with an image of a bloodied young woman in a hospital bed, the survivor of a near fatal domestic shooting. A line of text below the photo reads, "In homes where domestic violence occurs, a gun increases the risk of women being killed by 5 times." If a pair of advertising executives have their way, this would be the future of ammunition buying in the United States.
These fuckers are trying to profit.
Oh, yes, they are. They're trying to get in on this anti-gun thing.
All right. Here's the thing: I don't buy ammo except for my hoarding 22 ammo. So the pictures on them little 22 boxes can be small enough that my blind ass won't be able to see them.
Well, on any of us who buy hunting ammo, I mean, we don't need a picture. We know what. I mean,
That's
any of
right.
us who hunt and stuff. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, like, have you ever seen like a picture of like a deer, like the damage it does to a deer or something on an ammo box? I mean, like, that's just not a thing. We just don't. We don't need that. We know. We don't have to be reminded of that. That this is literally exactly. You're exactly right, Tony. This is just for a way for these people to profit off of this. It has nothing to do without making a difference or a change or anything.
Just a side note, though, for women who are in a situation where they're victims of domestic violence and there's a gun in the house, learn to use the son of a bitch and kill the motherfucker.
There you go.
Solved.
Yep, get your own. That's why, as fathers, the best thing we can do is raise our daughters with an appreciation of guns and how to use them, and make sure that they have their own. That's something you want to get your daughter a birthday present for her 18th or 21st birthday, or, I mean, get her a gun. I mean, or she should probably already have a gun before then, but, I just get your daughter a gun, teach her how to use it, teach her how to shoot it. That's probably the best thing we can do.
My granddaughter got her first gun when she was 5. Now, before people freak out there, she does not actually have possession of it. It's right here above my head. But it's hers. Now, the grandsons, they're all a little bit older, and they do have theirs. As far as I know, their parents probably haven't put up. But teach kids guns, people. It ain't that big of a thing. You'll find that if you educate kids on guns, their curiosity about them goes away.
Oh, yes, it does. Oh, boy. It does. I mean, they walk by them like it's a hammer, right?
Yeah.
Like, literally, they walk by them like it's a hammer. It's nothing special. You can set out a brand new gun they've never even seen before, and they're just like, to them, it's just like a tool. It's just like a wrench or a broom or anything else like that. Like, you're exactly right. I've seen that with all my kids.
The granddaughter, she knows how to check a single action for being loaded. She can't manipulate in 629, but at some point she'll get there.
So that's hold on, let's see, I do got one more thing. So have you heard of Tamika Hamilton?
It does not ring a bell.
So Tamika Hamilton's running for Congress in California as a Republican. She's ex-Army. She's wife, a mother. She's pro 2A. She's conservative, and she's running in California, and she deserves our support and our shout outs, and remind California that they do have hope. They do have good people that are running, and without their votes and without even all of us not in California, making sure to keep throwing that name out there to support them on their social medias and to share their links and their pages and stuff like that. They're not going to be elected, so we have to, if we want to pull together and help out our people, our cousins in California that are under attack consistently from the 2A, we have to start voting people in like Tamika. So I'd advise anyone who wants to follow her on Instagram. It's Tamika_G_Hamilton. And that's Tamika as in TAMIKA_G_Hamilton. And you should be able to find her over there on Instagram. I'm sure she has Facebook and Twitter and all sorts of pages like that. I only do Instagram, but definitely go over there, support her. I mean, she's definitely someone we'd like to see get into Congress over there in California and could help affect change. So definitely be looking out for her. Hopefully, we can help her get elected and start instituting some change in California.
That would be quite nice.
Yeah, and I think we really need to start, so if you guys, anyone listening out there, if you have someone pro-gun coming up in an election, I don't care if it's a mayor, a senator, a congressman, it doesn't matter, a governor, it doesn't matter to me. If there's someone running that's pro-gun, pro-2A, that's at least voicing that and proud to it, they're not in the closet about it, they're vocal about it, send their names to us. Send it to earlywatchil@gmail.com. And say,
Yes,
hey, can you give this politician a shout out for us? He's running in my area. He's pro-gun or running on a pro-gun stance. And let's try getting these people elected. And then maybe we can institute some change and help preserve and protect our rights. And it's not until we band all together, instead of just being like, oh, whatever happens in California doesn't affect me. We really need to start thinking as a country and not as an independent states, I think. And that's been a fault of mine for a long time. So I'd really like to change that and just really start focusing as, hey, we're a whole country. Let's help each other out here.
I actually had that viewpoint for a while. And I wrote to various politicians in California. And then, I just kept seeing the shit come down the pike in California, and I just got away from it. What the fuck is the point? And I was really ticked at California gun owners for not doing more, which was extremely unfair on my part, because there's so many obstacles to getting together in a big meeting in California because it's such a massive friggin' place. So yeah, we need to back our fellow 2A people in every damn state. Currently, my main focus is here in Illinois because we are in a perfect storm situation of getting anything done anti-2A. They've got all they need to run the fucking gamut on us. But I'm still going to try to spread it out a little bit because, I'm not consumed 24/7 by the Illinois thing. Plus, I got great help in the Illinois thing, keeping up with it, from Mike Ozzy Osbourne. He says his last name. He does a really good job about keeping me up on shit that's going on here.
Let's see.
Hey, I'll be back in just a minute. I got to get a refill.
Oh, yes, sir. So I came across an article that I hadn't heard about. I'm not sure how recent this is. I just sent David another couple links over there. Maybe I sent him the wrong link, or I just sent you both the long link and the short link there, David. So this is a story out of Fox 10 in Phoenix. Mom takes on ISIS. A mother of 3 traveled to Iraq to join the fight against ISIS terrorists. Samantha is the only known American woman on the ground assisting in the fight. So this is a North Carolina mom travels to Iraq to join the Kurds in the ISIS fight. Like, wow. This is, that's some balls right there. This is a mother of 3 traveled halfway across the world to go fight ISIS. That's just an amazing story. So I'm sure you can type in that and Google search that. I'm not going to go into the story or anything, but I just wanted to put that out there that while we're sitting here at home and stuff like that, there's a mom of three traveled halfway around the world to join the Kurds to fight ISIS. Just keep that in mind. Oh, let's see here. Court told high-capacity mags were around before the first state existed. Lawsuit challenges ban on ordinary weapons. So this is from, I guess, Gun Policy and Second Amendment Foundation. And the Millennial Policy Center are back at it again, fighting for our rights, have recently filed their comments in Sternberg versus Colorado. The Colorado General Assembly adopted a ban on so-called large-capacity ammunition magazines as part of a sweeping gun control push in 2013. SAF founder Alan Gottlieb said, "Our brief provides a historical examination of why the right was specifically protected by the state constitution and applies that to today's context. Anti-gunners are constantly arguing that there is no historical support for protecting modern repeating firearms," he said, "and our brief provides proof that repeating rifles capable of holding 15 or more cartridges were in existence long before Colorado became a state in 1876. The framers of Colorado's constitution knew exactly what they were doing." Good on you, Gun Policy and Second Amendment Foundation. Good on you. That's awesome.
All right, coffee pot's on.
The Firearms Policy Coalition also says suppressors are constitutionally protected. Suppressors are important hearing safety devices. Suppressors are cool. Suppressors are not a political bargaining chip for BS5D chess.
Suppressors are used worldwide.
Did you while you were getting coffee, did you hear that story, Tony, about the Gun Policy and Second Amendment Foundation fighting in Colorado?
No.
So I'll go over that one more time. So basically Colorado implemented a 15-round magazine capacity ban back in 2013. And so they're being sued over that. And the Gun Policy and Second Amendment Foundation just put in their comments into a briefing to help fight that, proving that before Colorado even became a state, that that repeating rifles existed and rifles capable of holding more than 15 rounds existed, or firearms that hold more than 15 rounds existed, and that the people who made Colorado state constitution knew exactly what they were doing, and that how anti-gunners always make the argument like, oh, they, it only applied to muskets. They didn't, and they didn't anticipate these high capacity weapons and all this. So they put together historical facts and data that proves that wrong. Well, so that's actually awesome.
The thing that these assholes don't seem to comprehend is that when it goes back to muskets, it's not the guns that they're talking about. It is our ability to be equally armed or greater armed to our government, so we can overthrow these stupid bastards when they get tyrannical.
There's David.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning, David. Thanks for joining us.
Sorry it took me so long. Thanks for the link. I had caulk all over my hands.
Oh, no problem.
I don't know why that's so fucking hard to understand.
I find it hard to understand that when I've got caulk on my hands, I can't touch my cell phone.
Yeah.
Good morning, Tony.
Morning, David. Hell, I can get mine to work with a pair of brown jersey gloves on. I never had dreamed it would do that, but it will.
Are there any of the stories I've talked about so far, David, that you would like to express your opinion on?
And if so, just keep your lips shut because you should have been here to do it at the time. Just kidding.
The you know, the California thing, it'd be really, really good. You know, Blind Shooter, he's got a YouTube channel. He's on Rick's Life. Tony probably knows who he is. He puts out a
Yes.
lot of videos. He's from New York, and he's the one that put the video out about the 120-day ammo thing. And he said in this video, he said, "Don't even bother putting in the comments. Why don't you move? Because I'm not going anywhere." And that's kind of reminded me what you were talking about, the California thing. There's hope. You know, if there's not any hope, then toss all your guns into the government right now and let's just quit. You know, if we don't believe that there's hope. So I agree. If you know of a politician, uh, anybody, you know, somebody even like Amaj Ture who's just being an activist right now, support them whether you live in their states or not. You know, during right at the end of the winter, we had a couple sheriffs say that they weren't going to enforce gun laws here in Maryland, and a bunch of people, John Z, you know, namely, asked for their contact information out from out of state, not even Maryland state residents, and they said they sent them emails saying thank you for standing up for Maryland and their Second Amendment rights. So just because you don't live there doesn't mean you can't support the people.
Anybody who wants the template for the sanctuary county thing started here in Illinois, just let me know because I have it. Or I think I have it, but I can get it again if I need to. I lost a hard drive a couple weeks back, so I may have actually lost it, but I don't think so. I don't think I moved it over there. But yeah, I got it from Effingham County and gave it to my county, and they did the gun sanctuary resolution here. It's just a matter of changing a couple of names and stuff in it to make it work for another county. Thing with California is all of us from outside only see the crap, the ugly side. I have gained several new friends from California, and they love everything about the state except the taxes and the gun laws, and absolutely will not move out of the state. And California is actually a beautiful place. For the most part, it's got great climate. I mean, why the hell would anybody suggest somebody move away from that? It is far better to fight for that.
Plus, like I've said before, these radical left-wing communists are in the minority. You know, Gavin Newsom may be the most powerful man in California, but you can't tell me that the 30 million Californians that live out there all want uh, open borders, all want gun control, all think everybody's racist and everybody's sexist. You know, the media puts that out there to support that because they're in cahoots with each other. You know, if you say the media and you say left-wing Democrats, you're just repeating yourself. You know, so there's plenty of. I found a channel. What's his name? He's got a bunch of subscribers. The Daily Shooter. I found his channel the other day, and he's from California, and he was talking about, you know, it's there's a bunch of people here that want to fight, you know, so the fight is ready. We just, you know, we need more politicians to get in there. We need the voters to do their part to help the people in the grassroots get the fighting done.
And we have to be activists. We all have to be activists and support California, support Illinois, support New York, and not only support our own states, but I mean, we have to look at this as a whole country. I think we really do, and that's where some of the divide comes from. And I know I was a part of that. For a while there, I was saying, you know what? I think California is lost. and that, like sometimes you have to sever the limb. Like when you get gangrene, sometimes you have to sever the limb, and that was like my philosophy on California for a while. But I've changed because luckily because of these chats and stuff, I've been able to test my theory and test my opinion, and have it and reevaluate it after listening to other people's talking points, and then I've changed my conclusion to, you know what? No, it is worth fighting for. It is worth saving. It is, those gun owners there, those 8 million gun owners there, they matter. They, like we need to do something. We need to help them. There are brothers, our cousins, our family members, our friends, and so I've totally done a 180 on how I used to feel just a couple years ago about California.
Well, the thing is I consider California, Illinois, and New York kind of like Siamese triplets joined at the hips because we suffer from the same damn thing. We are being ruled by a large city of liberals. And I don't know how to make inroads on that. I really don't.
When I was younger, I worked at a factory. And if you're familiar with factory work, there's you work in this department, you work in this department, you work in this department. So if I worked in a bread factory, we made bread and stuff. So there was bread, then there was bagels, then there was tortillas. Well, when I was done all my work over on the bread line, the bagel line needed help, and the supervisor came up to me and was like, "Hey, we need your help over on the bagel line." And I was like, "I don't work on the bagel line." And without getting angry or without like treating me like crap or anything, he said, "What's the little name on your shirt say?" And I looked down and read the company name that was on my shirt. And he said, "We all work for the same company." So that's kind of like what you were saying, dead horses, is we're all Americans. Just because I live in Maryland doesn't mean that screw what happens in Illinois.
So Patriot in the Dark out there is listening. I am sending Patriot in the Dark link over on his email over there. So if you just want to check your email over there, Patriot, you're going to have a link in just one moment, and I would
Hey, David.
love your insight. Yes, sir.
David, have you watched 1984?
I've seen the movie, The Class of '84, but that's not exactly the same. But I'm familiar with the book.
Watch the movie from 1985 with the dude who played the wand shop guy in Harry Potter, John Hurt. I think it was John Hurt. I'm telling you, that's so friggin' creepy when you look at the socialism idea in this country. It really creeped me out. And yes, if you pervs out there want to know, there is a naked woman in it.
That's what I don't understand about a lot of this stuff is people think that if you make things less free at all, period. I mean, look at prisons. There's no weapons at all allowed in prisons. And prisons are some of the most dangerous places on the planet.
Oh, yes, they are. Hey, Patriot, thank you for joining.
Morning, Patriot.
Well, good morning, fellas. I know I'm jumping in kind of in the middle. Can I mention something about the graphics on ammo boxes?
Yes, sir.
You know that's not for us, as far as people that use firearms and stuff. that's for that shock value when you're walking through Walmart, and the guys that don't care either way about firearms, they don't have a bad view or a good view, and they're walking by with their kids and they see it, behind locked cabinets and whatever, pictures of little bodies or whatever, so that's who it's for, is the people that don't care either way. And perception is, the real thing we got to think about, because I mean, just like if they would show, Norman Rockwell, dad with his kids, shooting a rifle, where he's kneeling down or something like that, that's actually something positive, that same perception would, work in our benefit. So if ammo companies would do that, jump ahead, because you get some of the old Winchester boxes that were for commemorative rifles, they'll have the Trapper or the Indian or something, on the side of the box, like the 2255. I used to have boxes of that stuff, and it was, it had some kind of, just imagery on there. If they threw more adults and families with kids, I think that would be kind of cool. The other point is, you were talking about graphics on cigarettes. I believe it was in Canada, which their boxes of smokes were long and thin and horrible, and their cigarettes are bad. But on the back side of that, they would have maybe 2/3 like blacked out, and it would have, all their warnings on one side, and then they would have a picture of a black lung or some kind of nonsense. But then in the early 2000s, in Thailand, on the backs of their Marlboro boxes, which were Class C, not Class A, they were horrible, but it would actually say, if you were a boy and you smoke cigarettes, you are going to be less potent and tiny. So that's just a little caveat that, some countries that don't have rules on what they can say actually say it's
absolute horse shit.
Yeah, but they can say that because, they're not, obviously. So anyway, that was all I had.
No, thank you for sharing that. I had no clue that Canada was doing that. Like already.
They were like the makers.
Remember not too long ago? You remember not too long?
Oh, I think you're kind of roboting there.
Okay. I thought that was me.
No, I think he's roboting a little.
Yeah. Well, Canadian cigarettes they're not the same shape as ours, where you got like, what, 3 rows, and there you go. Are you back?
Are you there, David? I think he's having some technical difficulties, probably in a bad part of the house or something. Yes, sir.
There you are.
That I am walking around the house, so I lose service in different spots. But remember, not too long ago, they had a big huff and puff because the pro-life people wanted doctors to have to show, hey, this is what you're getting ready to do to this baby if you have an abortion. And they said it was unconstitutional and blah, 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 blah. But they want to put a dead body on a box of, 5.56 ammo at Walmart.
Yeah, that's pretty two-faced, isn't it?
Yes, it's only bad if it doesn't serve our purpose.
Yeah. Well, I think that's something that we should, push for ammo companies to do that, as far as pushing, the parents with the kids at the range, or, just scenes, that I don't know what they would do, but, something that's more of a positive, like family, or, something that's, passing a tradition. It wouldn't take anything. Some boxes are small, obviously, but you throw on something like an adult kneeling down next to a kid, showing them how to hold a rifle or something. It's not that big a deal, but that does kind of show a more of a family perception.
That's exactly why my avatar on Gun Channels is my granddaughter.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Shows my 6-year-old at the time granddaughter at the range shooting her pink 22.
thing. I mean, do you guys think that would be a kind of a I don't know how if it would change anything, but
I think that's a good idea.
I
mean,
do, yeah. I think that if they did it like the 50s era nuclear family advertisements that you see back, make it look kind of old, I think that'd be cool.
that's actually what I was thinking was the 50s, more of kind of like the painting, not like a photo or anything, but more of, just kind of a something that's quick and small and just off to the side, and then, put their name on it. It'd be, some interesting branding. But I know some of those old
like Family Time with Winchester.
yeah, like Dick and Jane go to the range,
I think it would go a long way with normalizing the fact that owning guns is normal and shooting is normal. It's something that normal people do, right? And it's not to be criminalized or looked at, with a stern brow or a frown, and be like, oh, you're a criminal or you're a bad person if you own a gun or shooting. So I think it would go a long way with just helping, like, show people that, hey, like, the ammunition companies, I do remember where they would have scenes, whether it was just some ducks or doves or, all sorts of different scenes on their boxes like that. And now we have ammo that's like, that's just so plain Jane vanilla boxes that, I think that's a great idea.
Well, that probably saves them a nickel a box, that plain box does, as opposed to putting more color and stuff on it.
Well, I think I'd be okay with paying the nickel more, though. I'm just saying. I think I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate question: is the consumer going to pay more for the advertising?
If we can promote the reason why, that is to show that it's to normalize it and show that it is a normal everyday thing. And I think if we spread that message, I think people would be okay with it.
I may give something like that a go, because I got a whole shit ton of just plain white ammo boxes here that I bought to stack my ammo in.
The other thing is if they would just focus on like, your range ammo. It doesn't necessarily have to be self-defense ammo or, hunting ammo, but the, your basic, ball ammo or whatever, something that you would take your kid, to shoot or something like that. At least maybe, do a series or something. I mean, they could always
put the dead thug picture on your range or your self-defense ammo.
So here's a real question for you guys. I want to run through the panel. So you're going to the store to buy self-defense ammo for your new gun. You get there, they got 2 different brands of ammo. And let's say everything's identical between the 2 for all intensive purposes. They're the same grain weight, same velocity, same everything, like a hollow point self-defense ammo. But just based on name alone, one of the ammos is called, let's just say, like RIP ammo, rest in peace ammo, right? RIP has a picture of like a tombstone on it or something, and another one's called Defender ammo. Which one would you be more likely to buy if everything was the same between the 2?
Myself, Defender.
Patriot?
Hmm.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious about the marketing terms, and the names of what would people buy off just based on the name alone.
I think Defender would probably be, more popular. I mean, I don't know, if I was buying something for somebody else, I'd probably get the RIP just as a, a joke. But you don't want that perception, I guess. I don't know. Is it the same kind of thing?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of.
I was thinking, I was trying to allude to, like, maybe we're hurting ourselves a little bit with some of those things, some of those marketing terms. So, like, we were sitting there talking about, having families and stuff like that on the box, like a dad teaching the son to shoot, stuff like that, a scene on a box like that. But we do have ammo out there and stuff that do have pictures of, like, tombstones on them and have names like Rest in Peace or RIP, and there are ammos out there like that, right? So I'm just wondering, does that hurt us or does that help us? And That's what I was trying to allude to.
And also the perception of you walking up to the register and buying, a couple boxes of that, and you have somebody just standing there waiting on somebody that's, buying a firearm, and they're not really a firearm person, and they see you, and that's their whole perception of, a person that looks like you. Look at he's getting this killer stuff because he's wanting to go do that.
Or the perception of a jury with a DA that wants another notch under his belt saying, oh, he used this ammo, RIP, rest in peace ammo with tombstones on it type of thing too.
I think Winchester answered this question back in the early 90s with the Black Talons.
Yeah, didn't they just change the name of that? I mean, aren't those...
Yeah.
Okay.
They're the same thing, but they're not coated with that black shit anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, the Teflon?
Right.
I don't know. What I think everybody should kind of think about that as far as the the pictures and that, and bring it up, in different chats and kind of spread it around. See if anybody I don't know, can pass it on. I'm sure that's
Imagery
something G
matters.
would be interested in. The old Boy Scout pictures, from the manuals and stuff where it's like the 50s. I mean, that's the thing I was thinking about when I said it. So.
Yeah, I'm exactly on the same page with you there.
Because I mean, what's going to happen? You walk in and you see, oh, well, he's got families on them. I mean, it's not, they're not out there trying to, kill poor innocent animals. They're just out at the range. Look at, they're shooting tin cans with 22s, and I don't know. It's
also cheaper to print one of those than it would be a picture, I would assume.
Yeah, because you could just 3 colors. I mean, even in black and white, if it was if they really wanted to cut back, what's I mean, colors obviously would jump out more, but something that was simple and just grayscale, it's still the same kind of thing. I don't know. I just picture that old Winchester ammunition of 38-55 sticks in my head, and it was it had like a mountain man with a fur cap and the landscape way off in the distance kind of thing. It was simple, but this is 30 some years later. I still remember that box.
Yeah, that was back in the day when they were saying this ammo is really freaking old.
Well, yeah, and it was. I mean, it was the caliber, and it was for those commemorative rifle lever actions and all that stuff. So it was something that was kind of plotted for the guys that were buying, those Winchesters or whatever that had whatever theme, and you'd get the ammo and set it aside, and most of them probably never shot it. But
they look at Marlin on their Glenfield line of the Model 60, where they put the squirrel scene in the side of the stocks of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, changing the subject a little bit to a little bit more, I'm not sure how lighthearted it is, but you guys, if I say the name John McAfee, you guys know who I'm talking about, right?
The virus dude?
Yeah, the virus dude, right? The guy who's kind of far out there, ran for president at one time. He's had some legal issues and just I mean, the guy's a character, right? If you know anything about that guy, the guy's quite a character. So he released something yesterday on Sunday, and I'm just going to read what he tweeted, because that's just the only way you can do this any justice. So I'm just saying, take it for what it's worth, because if you know anything about this guy, even though the guy's a billionaire or whatnot, he is pretty far out there. So I've collected files on corruption in governments. For the first time, I'm naming names and specifics. I'll begin with a corrupt CIA agent and 2 Bahamian officials coming today. If I'm arrested or disappear, 31 plus terabytes of information of incriminating data will be released to the press. Now, 31 terabytes, a lot of people might have trouble putting that into perspective on how much data that is. You could put every single person's name in the world, just like their name, right, into like onto a computer, and it wouldn't equal 31 terabytes. So we're talking a lot of data. Then he tweeted, "For my followers, my recent tweets are less for you than they are for my pursuers. They are shots across the bow. Leave me the F alone or go down with the corruption you have embraced, because I will effing bury you if you continue. Doubt me at your own effing risk." And then he continued to release information about the CIA contractor and stuff like that that he promised that he would release. So I don't know where this is all of a sudden coming from, but apparently he has data. And I'm wondering if it involves the McAfee antivirus program, if somehow it was using that to collect data or what. I don't know. I'm glad I don't use that antivirus. I use Norton, but still, it's just, I mean, 31 if that's true, if he has 31 terabytes of data, of incriminating data against governments. He didn't name a specific government. He said governments. That's a lot of info out there I mean, that would take years just to sift through that amount of data. Years with a team of people, that would take years to sift through. So to get that kind of data sounds like this guy's been collecting stuff for a long time. Again,
really
if
wouldn't.
any of this is true.
I don't think it would take very long if you put it out in public. There's a lot of people out there with little computers that can go through stuff.
Oh yeah,
You know,
and
that whole
search for
mass.
specific names and yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just thought that was really interesting that was put out there by him, right, on his social media. So I don't know what, like, that guy's kind of paranoid and weird, and he is really far out there. But the guy also is smart. He does have a successful business, or had it before he sold it or whatnot. But still, I mean, it's just when someone like that puts something out there, it just kind of makes you look at it at least, you know.
Think about that for a minute. A guy with a dump truck loads of money like that looks at these people wanting socialism. Does he sit and think of how the hell are they going to pay for this, and then look at his bank book?
Probably.
But also, you got to think, you know, with just with that kind of software, you have your private, you know, for personal use, for home use. You have student use, and then you have, you know, the corporate kind of thing. And I'm sure there's another level above that for any kind of government thing, because I mean, you know, they all use exactly the same thing. If you're, you know, a certain entity, you know, they use it across the board. So, you know, I'm sure that, you know, a little modifying, it seems possible.
Not only that, if they make the software to stop intrusive software, they know how to get around the software that stops the software.
They know about all the best viruses and all the best malware to use, right? Because they're in charge of stopping that stuff, so they know how to use that stuff too.
And
You're
that,
exactly right.
and if you think about it, anytime you buy, you know, software like that, and even on a fresh, clean machine, you know, as soon as you put it on and install it, and you know, it runs for the first time, it always comes up, oh, we found some, you know, because it's always got some kind of, you know, thing to make you feel like, good, I'm glad I bought it, you know.
That is true. It
Which
does.
it's like it plants some, you know, just a generic thing in there so it can say it found something. And then that makes you go, boy, this is great. And I'm going to tell my family to use that too.
Let's see. In some other news, so we are entering the Taurid meteor stream. Do you guys know what that is? So
No.
every September 10th to September 20th, approximately, we enter the Taurid meteor stream every single year at that time, which is a stream of meteors, basically. And
Now, wait just goddamn minute here. Is it not June?
yes,
Okay, I just want to make sure, because you said we're entering it. And that's
yeah. Well,
September.
we're entering it every year. We enter it in September, right? From
I
September
thought
to
maybe
November.
I slept through July, August, and August.
So, but I'm alluding to this because it was released in the media that an asteroid bigger than a football field has a, you know, somewhat of a decent chance. The numbers I'm hearing is a 1 in 7,000 chance of hitting the Earth on September 9th. when we go to enter the Turid meteor stream. The Turid meteor stream is where when we enter that period between September and November is the most likely time that we could get struck by a meteor or asteroid. So that's when we are in the most danger of getting hit by something from outer space is during that time every single year.
Let's
Because
hope that fucker hits Chicago.
yeah, well, a meteor the size of a football field could devastate a city like Chicago and wipe it off the map. It really could. So, have you ever been to Meteor Crater or seen the pictures of Meteor Crater in Arizona?
Yes,
No.
enormous.
Yeah. So the meteor that caused that crater was about the size of this one.
Well, I understand it. All of Yellowstone's a freaking crater.
Well, that's a volcano crater, though. I think
Yeah, that's
the caldera. Yeah.
yeah. Is it what did you call it? Meteor or
Meteor crater.
crater? Yeah, that's the one that has that building that's like right on the edge where you
Yep.
can kind of look over it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was caused by a meteor about this size. So, I mean, it definitely would have the power if it hit like directly over a city. It doesn't even have to hit the ground. If it's an airburst in the sky over a city, it could definitely level an entire city. So, I mean, chances are it's going to hit somewhere in the ocean just because, 70% of our Earth is water. But that doesn't mean it is, and it's not a guaranteed thing. And a 1 out of 7,000 chance, that doesn't sound like it's that much. Oh, hey, John, how you doing?
John Brown. Morning,
Hey,
sir.
good morning to you guys. I'm sorry I'm late, but Mondays are my busiest morning.
Just
it's
as
okay.
a side note, the joke or the bit about it hitting Chicago was a veiled joke. So, nobody panic, send me hate mail and shit for that.
Well, the funny thing is, like I said, it has a 1 in 7,000 chance of hitting on September 9th. But NASA only lists it as the fourth largest threat, extraterrestrial threat to us. So if that's a 1 in 7,000 chance and there's 3 other objects that are more of a threat to us, just imagine what those numbers are. So I just want to kind of allude to that and let people know maybe from a prepping standpoint, but it doesn't matter where you're at in the world or, how safe you think you are. I live out in the country. At any time, basically, a football field could come down and land by you and, ruin your day or your whole city or your whole state even. So
if it lands anywhere near you, you ain't going to worry about it.
well, I mean, near you as like, like even like in somewhere in your state, right? So like, even though that you might not, I mean, it could interrupt supply chains. It could potentially wipe out an entire power grid, infrastructure. I mean, it could just be, it could, from a prepping standpoint, it's just something that we might want to pay attention that between September and November, we're very susceptible to this. I mean, this is a thing that's long been there. There's lots of evidence that every year that when we go into this meteor stream, that's when it's most likely to happen. So we just might want to, just like how we're weary of tornadoes or floods or any other natural disaster, we might want to just keep our eyes on the sky and potentially be prepared for this.
Speaking of this and prepping, I watched a movie, and one of the things on the movie was about an asteroid hitting the Earth. And the basic question is if you knew an asteroid was going to hit the Earth, a big one that could be a global event, would you, want to know in advance?
Oh yes, definitely, because I would like this opportunity to at least try to live and survive. Because I guarantee you, I can find better shelter or better higher ground or whatever if we're worried about tsunamis or whatever the case may be, than just sitting at home doing nothing. I mean,
Yeah. I would definitely want to know so that I didn't have to take the trash out. I wouldn't waste my time doing that.
thing is what do you think could happen to society if everybody knew?
Hmm?
How many people would say, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want?
How many people would pull together as a community and, you know, and organize as a community, resources and stuff like that though too. So I mean, there's definitely, I guess it depends on what geographic location you're in and your community and as a whole and friends and family and stuff. But I could see it definitely going two ways. I could definitely see people in the country pulling together and banding together, and I could see people in cities ripping their throats out, you know. So I could
I don't
definitely
know.
see it going both ways.
I'm
Also,
absolutely.
groups.
Go ahead, man.
I was just going to say, you know, especially groups would, like religious groups and stuff. You know, they would definitely, you know, group together. I mean, of course, you're always going to have, you know, outsiders or whatever, but I'm sure that, you know,
I'm kind of a lone wolf personality, and I'm concerned that if that were to happen, I would be in the fuck it, I'll do what I want category. I mean, I'm not making a joke here. That's just, you know, I would hope to heck not, but maybe I don't know me as well as I should, or I know me better than I need to. But God, I would face a real dilemma.
now you got us all thinking, where would we go first? The armory?
If I don't have to, my army's all around me.
I was thinking
What
tanks
I want.
and fun things.
I don't care. I don't believe there's no tanks here in town that I know of. One cannon. It's
So-
mounted, so it can only point due north.
A follow up on a story that we talked about last week. A mother of 5 with a concealed carry license who shot at her ex boyfriend who was trying to break into her home. Police say that they are not going to file charges against her.
Excellent.
So that was coming out of Cleveland, Ohio.
Back to the whole meteor thing, crater, whatnot, the dormant volcano. I seen something Saturday where a extinct volcano in Russia has now become active, which got me to thinking, you know, how much faith can you actually put in science? You know,
Oh,
what
well.
is scientific fact today may be ridiculous hyperbole tomorrow.
That's the thing about science is it's always evolving and changing and reevaluating itself.
No, that's
You're exactly
the
right.
that's the
Covering
whole
its
idea
own
of science is not to, you know, I mean, it's to question everything and redo it and over and over and over. It's when people get stuck on something and, you know, decide that they don't need to check into it. But they've got those shows on, you know, Yosemite and all that stuff, if that ever blew. Especially with, I mean, if you just that meteor in Arizona, you got to think, you know, to make that size crater, you know, all that dirt, all that, you know, force and explosion, you know, you wouldn't have to be anywhere near it to be affected by it. I mean, something that size
Light
would probably
fires across
cover
the entire country. Yeah.
that, and you know, the cloud of debris and stuff floating around. I mean, that would be like a, you know, the winter thing where, you know, you wouldn't have crops growing for a while. I mean, not that you have much in, you know, Arizona, but
Or if it hit our ice pack, if it hit the North Pole or Antarctica, if it hit a large sheet of ice and the instant melt and water vapor threw up in the air, we really could have a situation of raining for 40 days and nights, like that type of biblical flood.
A
what
huge
was the one
dust
in
cloud.
Russia? Sorry.
I really don't know.
Tunguska.
Yeah, the one where they made water and all that stuff. They sell bottled water with that.
Hell, where was giant dust cloud? I'm glad I haven't watched the Suburban lately.
So yeah, and I think that happened in 1908. I want to say, like, it happened in the very early 1900s, and that was an airburst. It exploded in the air over in Siberia over the Tunguska forest. it flattened square kilometers of forest, like 10,000 acres, or I want to say it was like 10,000 acres of forest, just completely flattened it, decimated trees, laid them all on their side. They couldn't figure out what did it because there wasn't an actual impact crater from an object hitting the Earth. So there was a lot of conspiracies like, oh, it was the Nikola Tesla death ray and stuff. And it even took scientists years to even reach that spot, to even photograph it and look at it. And but that even changed the temperature around the globe, caused severe winters and famine in Europe when that happened. And just that one that exploded in the air changed our entire Earth, and we were all affected by it. So like that, and that was during the Taurid meteor stream during the same time of year. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like if something that happened nowadays, we're so reliant on technology. In any major city, there's 2 or 3 days of food there. You know, so 2 or 3 days, Chicago's out of food, New York's out of food, LA's out of food.
Damn it, don't become Chicken Little here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying from a prepping standpoint, you might want to reevaluate your pantry, make sure you have some goods in there, make sure that you have goods. I recommend a 30-day supply for your family. So if you don't have a 30-day supply of food, and I'm not talking like 3-course meals 3 times a day, I'm just talking very basic survival, like survival rations, so to speak, top ramen, stuff like that. But you should have about 30 days worth of food on hand, because it definitely could take that long for infrastructure and to get food back into supermarkets and stuff like that if something bad was to happen. It really could.
There's something that just happened recently here where they shut off just a water main, and you get a whole neighborhood that doesn't have just running water or whatever. You see people just flip out because they don't have, just a daily amount of water. I mean, you may have, bottled water, a couple cases, but is that really, can you cook? Can you, do the, you got little babies or something like that? You have to have that, just the stuff for the formula and all that other nonsense. But, just to think about it, if your house right there just lost, power or water for a weekend because they're working on something or something went down,
Well, I actually have a well on property here, but I would have to pull the pump and probably repack the thing because it's been turned into an ornamental pump. So it doesn't do anything. As far as water, there's a lot more water in a person's house for the most part than people realize, with the water heater and the toilet tank. If you're talking a day or two, you're talking more than like 3 days. I hope people have access to a creek or something where they can filter and boil water. I live half a block from a small stream too, so water's not one of my prep concerns at this point.
Well, take the electricity part of it. I assume everybody that's listening has, could cook or could do things, but how many people are just totally out of it? Wouldn't be able to make dinner if they didn't have electricity. What do you have in your cupboards that you can make without, if you got gas and that kind of stuff, for your stove or wood or whatever, but people in the city, if you're in an apartment, you got an electric range and a microwave. What do you do if you don't have power for a weekend or something? Some transformer gets hit, or crazy Uber driver crashes into a power pole or something.
Little emergency stoves are next to nothing to buy.
Yep.
And there's a whole crap load of them. I have a little propane 2-burner stovetop that takes in 1-pound propane cans. And that thing is exceptional for power outages. And yes, I have used it. I keep half a dozen things of propane on hand. I should stock up more, and I just never think about it. But I also have a whole, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 propane lanterns. We've got candles set up in the house already. So if power goes out, all we got to do is light them.
Yeah, most people, when they think of power outages, they're worried about their phone, they're worried about their computer, their TV, those kind of things. And actually thinking about, how are you going to make that soup or, whatever you, I don't know. It's interesting because you can get those hiking bullet style propane, jet. I don't know what they're called now, but there's just the little pocket size, things that are little that you can stash anywhere, even if you don't have, a big place or whatever, something that would be in your closet. And the propane ones you can use indoors, I'm sure. I mean, verify, so there's not some poisonous gas coming out. Don't bring your grill into your garage and start cooking with the door closed.
As far as electronic stuff here in the garage, I'm set up to run that when power goes out. I can go for as long as there's gas in a vehicle that charges the battery that I have out here. The battery will go 8 hours by itself, and I can run my computers and stuff to kind of keep, hopefully, contact with the outside world to get news.
And you have that with an automotive battery?
Yep.
That's one thing I would advise everyone to go look, tune into Hosh, to his ham radio channel over on YouTube. I'll post a link to it out there. But you can get Baofeng radios, those Baofeng radios and stuff like that. And there's a lot of different ways that we can communicate with each other through ham radio and stuff like that. And that's another good prepping alternative for communication. Is going to be very, very important if an EMP or anything like that does a sun flare. There's a lot of different ways our electrical grid can be basically shorted out and take years to rebuild.
I want to point out about the amateur radio. If you have one and you're not a licensed amateur radio operator, if it's not an emergency, it is illegal to transmit on that. And amateur radio operators will not talk to you. There's a certain.
Well, you can have them. You can listen to them without a license.
Yes,
and you can learn how to broadcast, just not necessarily broadcast until something like that happens.
And in the event of an emergency, that goes out the window. Some amateur operators probably won't think that, but it's a fact. It's emergency communications. You can use it. Yeah, I've been an amateur radio operator for a long time.
I posted Hashnasi's link out there to his ham radio crash course. He has all sorts of different stuff about ham radios, Baofeng radios, just all sorts of stuff and valuable information over there. And you can get those Baofeng radios really cheap on Amazon for like $25, $30. And you can do a lot of stuff with those things.
To be straight up front, if it were me, I would buy one of those multi-band receivers. You've seen them they've been around since the 50s, where they have a dial on the side, and then they have a display on the front of them that's got a whole bunch of different lines of numbers on it. And that's for all the different bands that it receives. And just for listening for information, those will do more than the regular amateur radio will, because amateur radios are set up for one band, unless it's HF, but them handhelds aren't HF. And they're about probably, I'm going to say $75. They may have considerably upgraded models these days. I haven't looked into these things for 10 years.
They have, I mean, there's just a lot of different things that are out there now, and that's the thing about Hosh's channel is he is so into it. He's not just showing you like one or two different types of radios. I mean, he's showing you tons and tons of different options and different at all different price points, from elite to very very affordable to home based systems you can take with you on the go. I mean, just having a police scanner in general and stuff like that's very very handy. But I mean, and he'll show you how to talk to people halfway around the world, and just very very smart guy. And if you've never looked into the ham radio thing, or it's really worth looking into. It's amazing the stuff you can do with those things.
Yeah, I would have to research now what high frequency bands that are popular with the worldwide network. I think they call it ARPANET, but I can't remember. I never did get into HF stuff. But starting to try to listen to that stuff that goes all over the world is expensive because it takes bigger radios and massive friggin' antennas. Police scanner or a scanner is a great option because what you're really trying to get is news. Be it from what's going on with the police, ambulance, fire departments, whatever other sources are out there. A lot of them scanners will go down and do aviation. Model handheld will go down and do television. I can pick up the audio from TV stations. But for the most part, collecting information, you don't really need a transceiver. You just need a receiver.
Does anyone have any 2A stories or any 2A gun talk, anything going on in their local areas, or anything that they would like to talk about that's been in the news recently or anything?
I already covered mine. I just wanted to go over it again.
Patriot or David or John, is there anything that you guys have heard about you would like to talk about recently? I'll take that as a no. Let's see here.
No, I don't have anything, except that the Senate here in New Hampshire is looking at red flag laws and a ban on standard capacity magazines. The Senate pushed it back to the House because they didn't like the way the House worded it, but it's coming.
That's unfortunate. Is there anyone who's leading that fight we could go to and try and support?
The information, excuse me. The information I got was from the local chapter of the NRA.
Do you know what that bill's called? Does it have a House bill number or anything like that? Like an HR 1638 or like some number like that where we can
Yeah,
find exactly.
the information I got, they didn't put the numbers in. They just said that the Senate sent it back to the House to rewrite it or whatever. So I don't know what's going on.
I know that there was a report about the NRA money flowed to board members amid allegedly lavish spending by top officials and vendors. Another story came out. More and more of these are leaking out. Military Arms channel posted it today. Did any of you guys see that?
No. I don't look up the NRA as the devil stuff because that usually leads to liberal crap.
So, Carl Malone, he's a influence here in Utah. He played for the Utah Jazz. He was always a big like hunting advocate here and a Second Amendment advocate here. He sits on the NRA board. So it says here in this article, one NRA board member, Carl Malone, said, quote, after learning about the money his fellow board members received, Malone said he was concerned. If these allegations are correct and 18 board members received pay, you're damn right I am, he said. If it's correct, the members who pay their dues should be damn concerned too. So that comes from one of the board members, Carl Malone.
Sure he ain't pissed off because he didn't get paid?
I don't take him as that kind of guy. I've actually worked on that guy's house before, and he has a shooting range and a bowling alley in his basement. And I don't. That guy has more money than he'll ever have to worry about or do with. So I don't think he's concerned about money anymore. He owns car dealerships and all sorts of stuff here. Has all sorts of money coming in here forever. So I don't think he's going to be concerned about any kind of NRA pay.
Cool. Sorry, I had to ask.
Yeah, trust me, he's got his car dealerships here are pretty successful, and I don't think he has to worry about any money.
I guess I'll throw mine back out there. It seems that the NRA has joined in on the suit going through Illinois to declare the FOID system here unconstitutional, which I read as a bit of good news because the NRA don't generally join shit that they ain't sure they're going to win.
I was going to ask you, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. I don't think they'd get involved if they weren't pretty damn sure they was going to win.
What was that, Tony?
I'm not sure how it affects the whole system in Illinois because our concealed carry is really built around our FOID system. So I don't know. It may toss the whole damn thing out.
I don't know. I hope that's a good thing. I hope they throw some money that way, and I hope that it does some things.
You and me both. The premise behind it is they can't make you pay for a right. And if that wins, that sets a precedent nationwide for all of this crap. So it'll be something to watch.
Well, let's see here. So we're at the top of the second hour. We usually like to try and keep this around 2 hours or so. So I think we'll start going through our shout outs or stuff like that. So we'll start over there on the left with John Brown. John Brown, do you have any shout outs you want to get? Anything that you want to give recognition to or have people check out or anything coming up for you or anything?
I just wanted to say thanks. Gizzard Gary's Early Bird Show is on Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock. And other than that, no, I haven't done anything.
I don't know, man. I think I would take offense that he said I was on the left.
Yeah, that's true.
David, are you able to talk at the moment? Do you have anything to shout out or anything coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. Love the early watch. And even though he probably wouldn't approve of it, I'm going to go ahead and promote G-Webs. You know, check out Minuteman University Project. Check out gunchannels.com. Check out Every Second Matters. I mean, gear websites. There's just so much that G-Webs does. Buy him a cup of coffee, as you would say. You know, if you got a couple bucks lying around, throw him a cup of coffee here and there, and let him know that you appreciate what he does for us.
Definitely. That's always a good thing to do. I mean, someone who does so much for the Second Amendment, unselfishly, isn't trying to make a dime off of it. Definitely go over there and support G-Webs and see what he's doing. And the Minuteman Universities have been absolutely awesome, especially the last one. I do believe he has one coming up later today. That's going to be really, really good. I think later today is Liberty Doll. So definitely look forward to that tonight. Patriot, anything coming up with you?
Dude, you're muted if you don't know it.
He might have walked away to get a cup of coffee or something. Tony, what's going on with you?
This is what I shout out. So,
Is Gun Channels an early watch?
yeah, that's the daily lobby is usually entertaining to be a part of. And we won't be here tomorrow because somebody has to have some range time. So we'll be back here Wednesday morning.
Yes, we will. And while we're waiting for Patriot to come back, I will say that anyone who would like to host Early Watch on Tuesdays, get in contact with Tony over at earlywatchil@gmail.com or get in touch with myself over here on Gun Channels. And we can definitely arrange if you need me to host it on my computer or whatnot for you. I mean, that's fine. There are going to be daily lobbies thrown up after the early watch. There will be a daily lobby thrown up on Tuesdays still. So look forward to that. Links will be posted on Gun Channels. And definitely check out G-Webs and all he's doing over here, especially the Minuteman Universities. Another thing I do have let's see, is Patriot, are you back yet? Okay, you're still muted, Patriot, just so you know if you are back. So one thing I do want to shout out is I'm just going to shout this out real quick. Please go look up the name Everett Palmer. And we want justice for Everett Palmer, the United States Army vet. So I'm not going to get into the story or the circumstances of that, but Everett Palmer, just like it sounds, out of Pennsylvania. I'm sure if you type in Everett Palmer, Pennsylvania, you'll find out exactly what I'm talking about, but I highly advise everyone to go research that and what's going on with that and support justice for Everett Palmer. And are you back yet, Patriot? All right. So Patriot might have walked away for a minute. So I'm going to leave us with a quote today. So, a free people ought not only be armed and disciplined, but they should have sufficient arms and ammunition to maintain a status of independence from any who might attempt to abuse them, which include their own government. George Washington. Have a good day, everybody.
That pretty much